Hey guys, this is God of Politics, and welcome back to a brand new video. But before we get started with this video, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, join the Discord that is linked down in the description. But in today's video, I am doing a hypothetical 2024 election prediction video. You can probably tell due to the changes in some of these electoral votes for each of these states. And the hypothetical 24 election video in this video is between Kamala Harris and Nikki Haley. So this is a scenario where, Joe Biden probably wins the election, Kamala Harris being the VP, and then runs for the presidential election in 2024 due to Joe Biden not running, versus Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley was in the South Carolina House of Representatives. She then became the governor of South Carolina. She then became the ambassador to the United Nations for a year, just over a year in the Trump administration. And people are already touting her as a pick for the presidential candidate for the Republican Party. She's polled quite high in some hypothetical polling that we've seen so far. So I'm going to be doing prediction between these two candidates. So as always, we will start off with the safe electoral votes for Nikki Haley. First is the state of Idaho. Actually, let's go back here to Phil. Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Utah, Alaska, North Dakota, South Dakota, all of Nebraska except for the 2nd District, Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Missouri, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, as well as Iowa and Ohio, 2 states that are trending towards the Republican column. I believe at this time will be safe margins. West Virginia and South Carolina, Nikki Haley's home state, as well as Maine's 2nd District. And, you could have some vice presidential picks. Maybe for the Democrats, you have someone like Conor Lamb, the representative from Pennsylvania's 7th District. Maybe for the Republicans, you have someone like Scott Walker, the former governor of Wisconsin. But I'm not going to be choosing vice presidential picks for this election, but there are many options that could be considered. And then the safe electoral votes for Kamala Harris would be Washington, Oregon, California, as well as Colorado and New Mexico, similar to Iowa and Ohio, similar states that are trending in this sense, rather, to the Democratic column rather than Iowa and Ohio trending towards the Republican column. And then as well as New York, Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware, D.C. So that puts Kamala Harris at 171 safe electoral votes to Nikki Haley's 148 safe electoral votes. So as always, in many scenarios that we have, there are no safe electoral votes for the, likely electoral vote scenarios for the Republicans. But for the Democrats, for Kamala Harris, I do believe she will win Nevada by a likely margin, being in close proximity to California, having a lot of Latino voters, having a very liberally skewed electorate, having some suburban areas of Las Vegas. I do believe she'd be able to win it quite easily by a likely margin there. And that's actually all of the states that she'd win by likely margin. And I also did forget Maine's 1st District being in the safe column. So that would be 172 safe electoral votes Kamala Harris. After the likely margin, we do have 178 electoral votes for Kamala Harris, 148 for Nikki Haley. Getting into these lean margin states, first I do believe Wisconsin would be a lean margin state. This is a state that has pretty clearly trended towards the Republicans, especially when you compare it to the past. And I believe it's trending more to the Republicans than these, I guess you could say core 4 states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota. I believe it is trending more to the Republicans, and I do believe it is a scenario in this election where Republicans could win it by a lean margin. I do believe Nikki Haley would do that, as well as the state of North Carolina, pretty much solely because it has a close proximity to South Carolina, has very similar demographics to a certain extent, has a pretty high black population, as well as a lot of suburban and rural areas that can help the Republicans. And I do believe Nikki Haley would have some strengths in the state, which would help her winning it by a lean margin. And then for the Democrats, the lean margin states, I do believe first they'd win Maine at large by a lean margin, probably by around a similar margin to what Hillary Clinton won it by in 2016. It's hard to tell how the white voters in this state, it's a predominantly white state, almost entirely white state. It's hard to tell how this state will trend, but I do believe, at least for now, it would be a lean Democratic state. New Hampshire, I also believe, would be a lean Democratic state. New Hampshire is a state where it's similar to Maine, it's similar to Vermont, but very different, election results. And I do believe in New Hampshire would be quite a close state, but I do believe when it's all said and done, it would go to the Democrats. And I did also forget, I'm not sure how I did, but I forgot Illinois being a safe margin state. I'm not sure how I forgot that, but Illinois would be a safe margin. So Kamala Harris is actually at 191 safe electoral votes, and after the lean margin states, she's at 203 with the addition of the state of Arizona, which I do believe, is obviously a state that is trending towards the Democrats, and I do believe at this time, it would be a pretty reliably Democratic state. Nikki Haley might make it closer with her brand of neoconservatism that is alike to the kind of John McCain, for example. But neoconservatism overall is not a very popular ideology anymore. So getting into these tilt margin states now, after we have Kamala Harris at 215, Nikki Haley at 174, the lean margin states, I do believe Nikki Haley would narrowly win the state of Texas. Texas is a state in which you do have, many suburban areas, a lot of Latino voters that are trending towards the Democratic Party. Will it be enough for this election? Probably not, but this is easily going to be the biggest state in terms of where people are campaigning, how much money is being spent, and it is a state Republicans are going to have to worry about in the future. But I believe at least for this election, Nikki Haley would narrowly be able to win it, as well as the state of Florida. This would also be a narrow state. 72 electoral votes that Republicans would narrowly be winning. If you give them, narrowly to the Democrats cross the 270 electoral vote margin. But I do believe Nikki Haley would narrowly win them. That gets her all the way up to 246 electoral votes. But it would be quite tough to win both of these states, but I do believe she'll be able to do it, as well as Minnesota, the first time this state would go red since 1972, when Richard Nixon won it in the biggest landslide in modern political history, in terms of in terms of the electoral vote margin. But I do believe, Minnesota with those Iron Range trends, would outweigh those suburban trends that the Democrats are getting, and it is going to help Republicans overall in a state that has trended towards the Republicans quite a lot in recent years. And I also did forget the state of Virginia. I'm not sure why I'm forgetting both Illinois and Virginia as two states that I do believe would both easily be by safe margins. I'm not sure why I'm forgetting those, but Kamala Harris would now be at 204 safe electoral votes. I'm not sure why I didn't have Virginia at a safe margin originally. And I also do believe that she would win Nebraska second by tilt margin. Kamala Harris, Michigan and Pennsylvania and Georgia by tilt margins, putting the overall map at 279 electoral votes for Kamala Harris, 255 for Nikki Haley. Georgia, you have those suburban trends, and you may have increased black turnout with Kamala Harris that could help her win the state. Pennsylvania, you may have some of those suburban trends in Pittsburgh and Philadelphia still keeping the state Democrat, even though you have a lot of voter registrations for Republicans. You have a lot of rural trends for Republicans that are helping them. And Michigan, you have a similar story there. You have the Detroit suburbs, which are not getting that much bigger. But I do believe Kamala Harris would be able to narrowly win a state that has traditionally been very Democratic. And then finally, as for Nebraska's second district, it's a very suburban district. It's going to be, hard for Republicans to win it if they don't make some extreme gains in the suburbs in the next couple of years. But yeah, overall, looking at the overall map here, we can see Kamala Harris at 279 electoral votes, Nikki Haley at 255 electoral votes is my prediction for the hypothetical 2024 election between the two. And yeah, so thank you all for watching this video. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also join the Discord that is linked down in the description. So thank you all for watching this video again, guys, and I will see you guys later.